First off, this game was crazy, by the way.
It really was an
this,
insane game.
Yeah.
This was a top 3 playoff game of all time, probably. You put it up there with that Georgia-Oklahoma Rose Bowl.
Yes.
Probably put it up there with that Georgia-Alabama title game, the one that Alabama won.
Well, that game was not actually a good football game. Crazy ending.
Yeah,
That game
but
actually
it was an overtime national
Okay.
championship, but like this is right up there with the greatest we've ever seen, which is so refreshing. After the first 5 playoff games had lopsided final scores, although there was a mix of competitiveness in there. I couldn't believe this game, man. You have Texas looks like they're going to run away with the game, but they can't. Arizona State keeps getting into Texas territory and keeps stumbling and can't get points on the board. It's the fourth quarter. They're down 16 points. They rally back. Cam Skatteb's throwing a touchdown pass. He's catching a deep ball. And suddenly Arizona State gets this game into overtime because Texas misses a field goal at the end of overtime, missing 2 field goals in the final 2 or 3 minutes. Bert Auburn did for Texas. Doinked the second one. I couldn't believe it. I was losing my mind on my couch to finally have a good game. Arizona State, it's 4th and 13. If they get a stop, they win. Texas converts to 4th and 13. They win in double overtime with an interception. Just major shout out to everybody in this game. This was an unbelievably well played football game.
Bert Auburn better have a fruit basket sent to Quinn Ewers' house by the time they get home. I did want to, Damien. I wanted to throw some stuff by you here real quick.
Okay, let me run it by.
Quinn wasn't good today. Quinn was not good today. But that 4th and 13 that you mentioned, Chris, before the snap, he sees there. Arizona State was hot. They were coming hot. I think they brought 7 or 8 guys there. Checks to a max protect. There's some. I haven't heard this definitively. I think he checked Bolden or Golden to a post on the backside because he knew there was no safety over the top. It was a cover 0 look. Great blitz pickup from Gunnar Helm and Trey Wisner. Hits a great ball over there to win that. Did anything Quinn did today win you over, Tame? Did anything he did?
I don't want to say he won me over because I went into the season saying Quinn Ewers was my favorite player in all of college football, saying Texas was my favorite to win the national championship. If anything, they just showed me why I believe that in the first place. Now, when it comes to Quinn, what frustrates me about Quinn is he makes unbelievable plays like that. That is why Arch Manning isn't getting reps right there.
Yeah.
It's because of the leadership, it's because of the experience, and it's because of the ability to dissect the defense and make plays accordingly, not just using your athletic ability. The quarterback position is about using your mind and using your arm. And Quinn Ewers does that really well at times, and then at other times, he just doesn't. And the offense seems like they're stuck in neutral. He seems like he's leaving the ball inside on outside throws. Some of his deep balls are just hanging in the air forever. One of them got picked off today. And that's what makes you have this love-dislike relationship with not only Quinn, but with this Texas team, because they show spurts of greatness. They show the first, I would say, 5 minutes of this game, I was back in the mindset of, wow, this Texas team, this is who I thought they were at the beginning of the season. Defense to offense, offense to defense, good in the kicking game. Bert Auburn has been great all season long up until this moment. So it's just there's too much of this roller coaster that Texas is riding. But giving compliments where compliments are due, Quinn Ewers made the plays in order to be made, or made the plays that needed to be made in order for them to win the game. That was because of his experience. That was because of his leadership. That might have even been because of all of the adversity that he has faced all year long. And then in the moment where it mattered the most, he delivered, he stepped up, made the throw, made the checks, set the protection, and did what a leader is supposed to do in the biggest moment of the game. So huge respect to him, huge respect to Texas for being able to pull out a win against a really tough and scrappy Arizona State team. All the credit in the world to Arizona State, but especially Sam Leavitt and Cam Skatteb, because I have said since they won the Big 12 championship that they're going to have to back up all this talk that they were doing. Sam Leavitt came into this matchup saying, okay, I'm going to prove that I'm the better quarterback than Quinn Ewers. Am I going to sit here and say that he is ultimately the better quarterback? Maybe not. Did he play like he could have been the better quarterback today? I would say yes. He made a lot of plays with his legs. He made some throws with his arms. He did a lot of good things. And then Cam Skatteb, I sat up here and talked about, man, I really wish he hadn't sat up here and said, I'm the best running back in the country. I sat here and belabored him about it. Do I think you're the best running back in the country, Cam Skatteb? No, it's still Ashton Genty, but man, what an unbelievable performance from him.
This was such a weird game. Texas's defense was on the field for 90 something plays. Like Arizona State was like double the first downs. Texas couldn't run the ball. They were averaging like 1 yard, 2 yards per carry. And yet
I think in the third quarter, they ran 6 plays to 21 plays. And I think that caught up to them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. And Arizona State is still down double digits. And you're just like, what is going? This is such a weird game. Outside of the punt return touchdown from Texas and the 2 plays opening drive, Texas didn't really move the ball much until a little bit at the very end of the game. So Arizona State's defense played their butts off, really kept them in this game, kept hanging around while the offense kept pounding it against the wall, getting into the red zone, not punching it in until they finally did. And to your point, Ubben, about Texas's defensive backs, I mean, that Captain Skatteb TD throw was really fun, but it was also really underthrown. And the, and the defensive back got completely lost.
How,
the DBs couldn't find
it. Devin.
That was the Thorpe winner, right?
That's Barron. Johnny Barron.
That's the best defensive back in the country. So it felt like Texas was panicking. It really did. And when they missed that field goal to go to overtime, you're like, wow, I can't believe this.
The second field goal in 2.5 minutes that they'd missed, by the way.
Shout out to the Arizona State ball girls for screwing my man Bert Auburn. How much did they get tipped off by Dillingham?
Here's my question. I saw that live and I was immediately thinking, oh, that's pretty funny. They're messing with him. But if you go back and watch the clip, I don't know why they would have to walk. There's no reason for them to do it. And you see them kind of connect eyes and see that he's lining it up. And they're like, oh, hang on. I need to go walk closer to the stands there's no reason for him to do it. I really want to know more about this.
I was watching, like me and my wife were watching on the couch. And like as soon as they started walking, I was just like, "Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Like, move! Like, get out of the way!"
I was not even drilled by
not even because I was like cheering for Texas versus Arizona State, or not really because I had a dog in the fight, but more so just because I was like, "You're gonna screw this guy! Like you're gonna ruin this guy's day by doing that." Like I know how serious kickers take their routine whenever they're on the sideline and they're kicking into their net and everything, and especially when you miss a field goal, like. It was bad. It was bad. It was a setup.
So let's talk about the targeting situation, because this became a gigantic thing at the end. I think people are kind of overreacting, but so
I'm ready for people to yell at me. I didn't think it was targeting.
Here's two. So there's two plays. Texas throws a deep ball, intercepted. Along with the interception, Isaiah Bond, the Texas receiver, is hit by another player. Head snaps back. They review it for targeting. No call. Arizona State goes down and ties the game. Then with like a minute or so left, Arizona State completes a 3rd and 15 catch, like 10 yards. And Taft makes the tackle, hits him, and they don't call targeting. They reviewed it, didn't call it targeting. Terry McCauley, the Thursday Night Football rules guy, thinks it's targeting. Kenny Dillingham didn't really want to say much afterward. But if that is called targeting, that puts Arizona State at like the 35-ish yard line.
Game's over.
No, game's definitely not over.
It's pretty much over.
Have you seen their kicking situation? It's not
very
good. And Texas defense is good. But I don't like that excuse of we would have won the game because you were a 4th and 13 away from winning the game. Stop 4th and 13 and you win. But some people are like, oh, you don't want targeting to decide the game. Oh, we hate targeting. Don't let it do. Like, what did you think? The Texas hit, I thought it was not targeting. I thought it was just a guy moving forward. The helmet collided, but he wasn't like lowering his head to hit him. They just collided. But it is a play I feel like I've seen it flagged as targeting many times before. And that's where the frustration comes from.
I'm with Kenny Dillingham in that I don't know what targeting is. I don't know how it's officiated. I think the coaches complain it's officiated inconsistently. But me watching it live, I thought, oh, that might be targeting. They reviewed it. I'm seeing everybody on Twitter is like, oh, that's definitely targeted. That's definitely targeted. I'm like, I don't see targeting. I see his head up. I didn't see a launch. He just goes in and wraps up. Like, I can see why people thought it was targeting. But again, I maybe I just don't know what targeting is. I didn't think it was targeting, but everybody else appreciated.
I just appreciated the consistency in officiating. If you don't call targeting on Isaiah Bond, don't call targeting on Taft.
Yeah,
targeting on Taft at the end of the game. Like I thought both could have gone either way. They could have called both of them targeting. They could have called them both not targeting. I thought at least the fact that with Bond's situation, it looked bad. They went to the booth, they reviewed it, they declared that it wasn't targeting, and then they followed it up at the end of the game, making the same exact call. I was just glad the officiating was consistent, because if you have one that's targeting, you have one that's not. Then you got Sark versus Kenny Dillingham. Which call was right? Which call was wrong? I just like the consistency. And especially with Taps was a little bit more like, I'm with you, Ubben. I didn't see any launch. I didn't see him, duck his head or anything like that. He was going to make a good form tackle. And it's so hard, especially for these defenders, because they're already in the act of tackling. And then you're telling them to adjust their body mid-motion just to avoid, a guy that catches and turns right into you. Well, in the way that football works, defenders are entitled to space just the way that offensive players are entitled to space. So if a guy catches a ball and turns right into you and y'all hit face to face, then I see it as no targeting. And that's how I saw that. That's how I saw that play.
I think this is a good time to tip our caps to the Sun Devils, who I think America fell in love with them today. Even in a loss, you have Cam Skatteb puking on the sidelines because he drank too much water too fast. Do you ever do that, Dame? That's a new one for me.
It's happened. It's happened.
I've never thrown up. Like, I played basketball and stuff growing up, and I've never thrown up because of like physical exercise. So I think just some people do and some people don't. I don't think that necessarily means a whole lot, but that was a weird one. Anyway, so he pukes,
by the way,
and then they get better.
Kenny Dillingham called in the post-game press conference. He said "puke and rally," which
we're gonna have puke and rally T-shirts at Sun Devil Stadium for sure next year. You have Sam Levitt. He decides he's coming back, obviously, and plays really well today. A guy that they, I don't want to say they dug him out of the scrap heap, but I don't know that people were beating down his door at Michigan State to go get him. And he turned into a star this year. He was a huge reason why they did what they did. Cam Skatteb obviously will not be back, but a guy that people love. And I think people like Kenny Dillingham. And we've been talking him up for a long time on this show, on our site. I think Kenny is really the picture of what a modern football coach kind of has to be in a million different ways, and is just really, really authentic. And I think his team can see that. His guys can feel that. And he took over such a disastrous situation. And they had a rough first year. And for him to have that team continuing to play, continuing to fight, not only just today, but this whole season, when I think we were ready to discount them as like, oh, it's a pretty nice story, like mid-season. No, they're in the playoff. They almost got to the semis. Like, it was crazy. The defense is bringing back 7 players.
And he got a new contract extension.
Signed a new 5-year contract extension. I told y'all he's not going anywhere. The defense has 7 guys back who played at least 300 snaps. He's still trying to quote unquote activate the Valley, as he's been saying since the day he got the job. It's a tough place to really get people fired up. I don't really know why in Tempe and in the Phoenix area, but if anybody's going to do it, I think Kenny's going to do it. And this is the kind of year that can launch you to it. In sort of talking to their collective too, going into the playoff, I think they told me that they've seen exponential growth in getting cash and trying to figure that out. And, that's the rules of college football right now, right? Cash rules everything around me. That's that's where we're at in the sport, man. So Cam Skatteb, people love him. Kenny, I think, between that and like going back and making people shake hands and starting his press conference with, hey, like, this is on me. I got to get our defense out of that call on 4th and 13. There's a lot of coaches, Chris, some of whom we've talked about on this show, that would not handle it in that same way. I do freeze. Anyway, there's a lot of guys that would not handle it that way, and I think they won themselves a lot of fans today.
One last Cam Skatteb note. I think obviously we need to give him even more praise, because even in a losing effort, for the first time in Peach Bowl history, he was named the offensive MVP on a losing
that's crazy,
team. And it was well more than deserved. So Cam Skatteb, major props.